Evening, one and all. Welcome to the Chris Salcedo Show worldwide here on the Vida television network. Glad you have tuned in. Glad you have made us part of your evening. Some changes coming to the program in 2018. You're going to notice we're going to be with you for an hour. Also, the program is pre-recorded, and we've done this to give you a little bit more of an opportunity to access the program. Now, here's how you got to do it. The show will actually air, which you're going to see here in mere moments, on AM 700 KSEV, the voice of Texas in Houston. All you got to do is call between the hours of 7:30 in the morning until 10 o'clock in the morning and listen and weigh in on the topics that we're talking about. 281-558-5738. Then you tell your friends, you tell your family, tune in right here on the Vida television network in the evening, and you can hear your contribution to the program. Hope this is fun for you, gives you a chance to participate a little more fully in what we do here. So without further ado, it's time for the Chris Salcedo Show worldwide.
Hey, guess what day it is?
Hump day!
Hump day! It's hump day!
Yeah.
Hey, Mike! Mike!
Mike.
Guess what day it is?
Hey,
Camel! Guess what day it is?
Hump Day on the voice of Texas, AM 700 KSEV. Glad you tuned into the program, everybody. You found the Chris Salcedo Show. Today, let me start here. What have I said about my support for President Donald Trump? And this goes for any politician. Any politician. There is only one person politically I agree with 100% of the time, and that's me. Okay? So we will, as long as Donald Trump, his populism intersects with our conservatism, then I'm going to support him. And I've got a lot to support from the last year. Even the red flags that went up for me yesterday in this illegal immigration talk and DACA fix talk, even that meeting itself, Donald Trump helped himself. Because what did we see yesterday? We saw a chief executive in command of a meeting of 22 cats with their own agendas, Republicans and Democrats. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, and I am not part of the Washington press pool, I never even covered news in D.C. as a Capitol reporter. I was in national news in Washington, D.C., but I wasn't. All you folks on the Vida show, I have a piece of hair I just noticed sticking out of my head. It's just looks like alfalfa on the side of my head. Look, sorry. We don't employ hairstylists on the Chris Salcedo Show. So what you see is what you get. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, the Vida television network carries this program. As a matter of fact, we got some feedback yesterday from the program because of all of you who called in the program, this show, the Chris Salcedo Show on KSEV. You guys call in 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. And then later on the night on the Vida television network, Roku, Fire Stick, and broadcast in South Carolina, you guys can hear yourselves. You can hear your contribution. You can hear how it's something that's kind of neat. You can tell your family, hey, I'm going to be on television. So at any rate, they were informing me how much your participation just added to the texture of the program. And I agree. So anyway, I'm sure you'll have a lot to say about what I'm about ready to talk to you about, because yesterday we saw President Donald Trump, and I'm not a member of the White House press cabal, so I'm going to take the several reporters and seasoned anchors and some folks that I trust, Brett Baer chief among them, when they jumped on television yesterday and they said, I have never seen this happen. This doesn't happen. What Donald Trump did is he got into a room. They were going to talk about an immigration deal. And usually they have this 10-minute, what they call a spray. You basically show up and the camera turns on. You get a whole bunch of what they call B-roll. This is the stuff that rolls in the background while you hear the news anchor speaking. They call that B-roll. So usually what happens, press shows up, sprays the event, maybe gets in a question or two, and it's usually like, let me give you an example. Mr. President, is the wall a definite must build? Now he would either say, well, yes, that's something that's not negotiable, but we're going to talk about ways we can get around that. It's usually some nebulous kumbaya, no committal type statement, and both parties do it because they don't want to negotiate in the public arena, and they can be frank, like Steny Hoyer behind when the cameras aren't rolling can say, look, we're trying to build our future voter base, and so we need to import a whole bunch of people dependent on government, and that's what Democrats do. We like to make people dependent on government. So he couldn't say that in front of the camera, but he could basically say, and that's what's motivating me, Mr. President, to oppose something that doesn't help me accomplish my goal as a Democrat, putting foreigners first as opposed to American citizens first. So what happened yesterday was Donald Trump, the cameras show up. They're about ready to pack things up because the meeting's about ready to get underway. And Donald Trump says, wait a minute. You guys might want to stick around for this. And the press, this was how it was described on the air. About the reaction was like, they looked at each other, what? Well, sure. And they stayed 45 minutes. Open negotiations live on television. Donald Trump making sure the country knew where the Democrats stood. Now, you got the sense that both Republican and Democrats were a little uneasy having the cameras there. But once they were accepted it was there, they said, well, what the hell, we're just going to go. And they did. What we saw yesterday was Donald Trump in command. There are a couple of examples. Steny Hoyer talking about Democrats, we are 100% for border security. So, and he didn't say this, but he says, nobody should mistake that every single Democrat wants border security. And what he left off was, so long as illegal immigrants continue to stream across that border. Which, that's a contradictory statement. But that's what the Democrats are, one big contradiction. They say one thing in front of the camera, they mean something else. They lie. Democrats lie. A lot. The last administration proved that. So when some arguments developed between Republicans and Democrats, they're all laying out their positions, staking out their positions. Donald Trump would step in and say, look, we're gonna iron this out. That's why we're here. This is something that we all agree needs to get done. He was in command for 45 minutes. Live on television. Now, you guys tell me what the narrative from the basket of biased press has been. From Morning Joe to CNN it's been that he is a doddering fool, can't connect sentences, doesn't read, doesn't understand the issue. And the American people for 45 minutes live on television yesterday were treated to a completely different story than the Wolf Book. You know what? We're not even going to call the Wolf Book by its name because it doesn't deserve it. It's tabloid trash. It's a piece of garbage. You know what we're going to call it? It has about as much truth in it as the Trump dossier. So we're going to call it Trump Dossier Part Doo-Doo. That's Michael Wolff's book. The Trump Dossier Part 2, or Doo-Doo. Because that's what it is. So there were some things accomplished yesterday. You guys know the expression, only Nixon could go to China. Only Donald Trump could pull something like this off. Only Donald Trump. What do you mean the camera's got to go away? I like the cameras. I'm a media guy. What do you mean the camera's got to go away? Let's have the sunlight in our faces that is the disinfectant that it is, and let's work this out so it's transparent. What's been going on for the last 40 years with this government, with the illegal immigration? We've had one party that has, you know what, I've got to be honest on this. they're not honest about their motivation, but they're honest in their actions. Democrats don't want a secure border, and they've never voted for a secure border. And don't give me the Secure Fence Act. Don't, because you know why? The Secure Fence Act is law right now. Is it being funded? No. That's what the comprehensive immigration reform in the Senate was all about, remember? Now, let me remind you what comprehensive immigration reform was all about. Comprehensive immigration reform was give us amnesty. Let's get these 20, 25, 30 million illegal aliens in the country. Legalization, not citizenship, but legalization with a path to citizenship, because that's what the Democrats want. Because they want 30 million new dependents to vote for them, permanent majorities. And then we will give you in turn security for the border. This was the deal that was proposed in 1986 that Ronald Reagan signed. The 3 million illegal alien amnesty with the promise of border security. And Ronald Reagan lamented that he believed and trusted the wrong people, because guess what? The border security never came. And that's what the Senate comprehensive bill was. I don't care what John McCain says. Well, I do, because he's every bit as a liar as his Democrat friends. And I know he's sick. I don't wish him ill will in that regard, but he's still a liar. And so are every single Republican and Democrat who signed on to that Gang of Eight bill. Lindsey Graham as well. What does Rush call him? Lindsey Grahamnesty? He actually mentioned that yesterday. Lindsey Graham mentioned that while he was meeting with the president. Yeah, I'm called Lindsey Grahamnesty by right-wing radio. To which I say, you've earned it, buddy. You've earned it. The dirty little secret is, ladies and gentlemen, is that what's driving the illegal immigration debate, the Democrats want the voters, the Republicans are kowtowing to the Chamber of Commerce. That's it. Moneyed interest. That's all. What you want, immaterial. Lindsey Graham couldn't give a damn what the American people want on illegal immigration. If these guys wanted what you wanted on illegal immigration, they would have paid attention in the last election cycle when the people who were tired of being told by Republican and Democrat alike, oh, the border? Don't even worry about it anymore. We're not even going to enforce it. Illegal aliens are a part of your life, so screw you. That's what the Republican leadership, I should say, and virtually every Democrat was saying. Illegal aliens are here to stay. We want them because our special interests, the guys who fund our campaigns, and our special interests want them. So screw you, the majority of American people. That's the message. And then Donald Trump said, yeah, it's not my message. Nope, not my message. And it got him elected because Americans were tired of being told, you don't count. We need to pay attention to the needs of illegal aliens. So Trump gets elected, and he shows up yesterday, and he starts talking about a DACA fix, and he starts talking about, if we get the DACA thing done, there's not much more that we have to do to get the comprehensive immigration reform. And then Donald J. Trump, the president of the United States, Donald J. Trump, busts into we need comprehensive immigration reform. And I'm sitting there watching this on television going, you've got to be out of your mind. What the hell's the matter with you? We need Obamacare for our border solution. That's what we need, an Obamacare-like bill. No, we don't. What have I always said on this program? Comprehensive immigration reform is code for a bill that's thousands of pages long that you can't understand, that allows the federal government to hide the fact that they're allowing illegal aliens to come into the country to satisfy their political constituency, their special interests. That's it. Comprehensive means you can't make sense of it. Comprehensive means that the rank and file American people don't get what they want, which is a secure border and an end to illegal immigration. And you know what else it means? If your liberty-loving Latino were to stand up and say, I want an end to illegal immigration, and America wants an end to illegal immigration. The response would be, fine. All we're going to do is make all those illegal aliens coming in, we're going to make it legal. That would be their solution. So I'm going to play the sound bites for you guys. Russell and I were talking before the show. I said, we have a bone or two to pick with the president. And he says, really? What did he do? I mean, this is it, folks. Not only did he say that he's a fan of comprehensive immigration reform, that he'd take the heat for all of it, which there will be plenty of heat, trust me. Wait till you hear what he said the immigration solutions have to be. It's going to sound very familiar to you. Somebody who Donald Trump said was very low energy said virtually the same thing. I'll be back in a minute. Chris Salcedo Show here on The Voice of Texas. All right, welcome back, everybody. It's Chris Salcedo Show. Eric is waiting on the line. Hello, sir. Welcome.
Good morning. Top of the morning to you, Chris. Welcome back to this time slot.
Thank you, sir. Nice to be here.
All right. No problem. Hey, I think that you can pretty much say that the Wolf book is going to be leaving shelves. It's going to be staying on the shelves in most of your bookstores and probably in the Amazon warehouse now after that meeting yesterday.
You know how many they originally printed?
It was probably about 1 million.
No, they printed just shy of 200,000. That was the original printing. You know what drove up the and this, I said it and I got some heat from you all for it, but as soon as Donald Trump came out and tried to stop publication of the dang book, that's what drove it through the roof. And it's like, man, don't make sleazeballs like Michael Wolff rich. Don't do that. That's exactly what he is. This guy's going to be filthy rich. I can tell you the Michael Wolff book. There's a couple of uses I've found for it. One of them is toilet paper, and the other one I'm not even going to tell you.
I watched not all of that press about the Republicans and the Democrats yesterday had with President Trump over at the White House talking about DACA and all that stuff. If you notice, Senator Feinstein says, "Mr. President, I want a clean DACA bill," and he's like, "Well, I like a clean DACA bill
I know.
as well."
I know.
But a clean DACA bill means the wall along with ending chain migration.
That's what he thought.
That's right. And he was. I think that they had to tell him about that later.
No. Actually, Kevin McCarthy jumped in. I've got this in the sound bites coming up here. Kevin McCarthy jumps in and says, "Mr. President, she's trying to pull a bait and switch on you. She just wants to give all the goodies up front and then give the middle finger to the American people later on border security. She doesn't want illegal. She wants to normalize the DACA kids and then move on, and you'll never get your border security. There'll never be any political motivation for the Democrats to come back to the table. And then when Trump said, then the light bulb went off, said, "Oh, she's trying to roll me." And then he said, no, the wall must be in there. Chain migration must be in there. The end of this dang lottery thing, that must be in there. So, he finally got it. But he got a little schooling yesterday, too, did the president.
Yeah. Also, Representative Cuellar was in there. And Representative Cuellar is usually he's pretty astute and he's pretty fair most of the time.
We've had him on the show.
Yeah, right. I know. I remember listening to him talk to you and all that. But I remember him saying that the sheriff that he had talked to say you don't need a wall because a wall will not do anything for us. But then the new Homeland Security director said that's not the sheriffs that I've talked to. And Trump jumped in himself and said, "Yeah, I just talked to a bunch of Border Patrol people just the other day, and they say if you don't have a wall, you cannot have security." Well,
I look, and I actually reached out to Henry Cuellar's office. He's the only Democrat that I think Well, I shouldn't say the only one. The only one that this show has contact with that is somewhat reasonable will have an issues-based conversation without melting down and going, oh, my bum hurts. Oh, my bum hurts. So most Democrats just collapse and say, oh, you're just Satan and evil and racist. That's all. They start going through their list of grievances. Oh, you're a bigot. Oh, you're a homophobe or this or that. So Henry Cuellar doesn't do that. He talks about the issues. So we put in a request to him because I wanted to ask him about this because in my former hometown of San Diego, when I was a kid, there was across the border there was a cable. That was all that separated Mexico from the United States down there in a community called Chula Vista. And illegal immigration was rampant. It was crazy. People going across there. You can't stop anybody. They put up a triple layer fence. What do you think that did to illegal immigration?
Stopped it to a mere trickle.
95% rate of reduction, and not me saying it, NPR reporting on it. 95% reduction. So the idea that barriers or walls don't work is insane. Of course they work.
Ask Israel about it.
Yeah,
right.
There you go.
Yeah. Hey, but I was going to also say, Morning Joe this morning, you should have seen them backtracking on what they were trying to, the narrative they're trying to push about the Wolf Book on Trump. They're trying to pile on. Joe was like, well, this is not the Donald Trump that we saw in the campaign in his first year. This is not the nativist, bigoted, racist, sexist, homophobe that we saw in his first year. This is a man that sounds like he's reasonable.
Oh my gosh. Morning Joe lacks so much credibility. I mean, I thank God you're watching, Eric, because I can't stomach it. I mean,
Oppo research.
Yeah, Eagle, thank you. Good job. Thank you. Somebody's got to do it. I appreciate it, Eric. Thanks for the call, man. Let me get to some of these sound bites. Fox News Channel will set up with the reporting yesterday. This is John Roberts on the lawn. You know, before I get to that, let me add another wrinkle to all this. Joe Arpaio. Joe Arpaio, before David Clark, was regarded much as America's sheriff. Why? Because he was strong on illegal immigration. He believed that the American citizenry and local constabulary were not prohibited from enforcing and adhering to immigration law. So Joe Arpaio yesterday announces he's running for the Senate, the seat being vacated by the aptly named Jeff Flake. And look, we love Kelly Ward. We like Joe Arpaio. And that's going to be a wonderful contest. And you know what? If I can get them on, if they want to come and raise money in Texas for their bid, I'd be more than happy to have them on. But Joe Arpaio has a track record, a newly pardoned as walking the walk. When the aptly named Jeff Flake heard about Joe Arpaio, he said that the campaign was doomed. This was being reported. I think Town Hall had this yesterday. I think the Associated Press had this yesterday. That was the quote they used, that Jeff Flake, upon learning about Joe Arpaio's announcement, said that his campaign was doomed. Well, if anybody would know about doomed campaigns for the Senate, Jeff Flake would. Jeff Flake is polling at 18% in Arizona because of his mamby-pamby pro-illegal alien stance, because of his weakness on the border, his weakness in law enforcement, and frankly, his opposition to Donald Trump, because of style points. He opposes Donald Trump, the president of the United States, on style points. Oh, he just sounds so mean. Well, Jeff Flake, put your big boy panties on and get to work. And he couldn't do it. He decided he'd write books and retire. So when Jeff Flake says that your campaign is doomed, he is the expert on doomed campaigns because he couldn't get elected dog catcher in Arizona. And that's, you know, and the heft of intellectual prowess that Jeff Flake brings to the table. I mean, he fancies himself an intellectual because he can rationalize how illegal immigration is a good thing for America, how breaking the law is fantastic and compassionate. I just call that stupidity. So Joe Arpaio, I think, is going to add a new dimension to this discussion. I don't know how it's going to play out. I think the basket of biased press is going to make it so it's a bad thing, because this guy did something that most of the folks in the press, most of the pro-illegal alien, illegal immigration lobby dislike and abhor, which is adherence to the rule of law. So that's how we're setting up this debate today. Now, I've got some sound bites coming up for you. You guys just jump into the car. This will be how this unfolded yesterday. The good from Donald Trump and the ugly from Donald Trump. Chief among the ugly, his full-throated support for comprehensive immigration reform, basically Obamacare for the border. His full-throated support for a DACA fix that sounds an awful lot like a low-energy guy that we all know and maybe don't love from the campaign. I will play them side by side, the sound bites side by side, and let you decide and get you to weigh in. 281-558-5738. Salcedo Show. Back in a minute. The voice of Texas, AM 700 KSEV. Glad you've tuned in. Hello, you folks on the Vida television network as well. Telephone number 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. Those of you just getting on the road, just turning on the car radio, got some compliments yesterday, not from your host. The guys on Vida TV liked you. What you guys had to say. I think, you know what, Russell? I think the one they liked the most, memory serves, it was David, who called up and said, I got a bone to pick with you. And that turned into about a, 7-minute conversation.
Yep. That was a great call.
Yeah, it was a great call. It was, and so I think they are impressed with you folks on Vida TV. And this is how it works. You guys call into the show, give your opinion. You can tell your friends. Yeah, go to Roku or Fire Stick, look up Vida, Vida TV, and you'll see the Salcedo Show, full hour of the Salcedo Show there every single evening. So you'll be like, oh, I was on TV. I contributed today. And you know what? I imagine, knowing this audience the way I do, you guys are going to want to talk about what happened yesterday at the White House with this discussion of DACA/immigration. Fox News Channel's John Roberts was on the North Lawn detailing this very rare, extraordinary public negotiation that only Donald Trump can pull off. And this was part of the greatness of what Donald Trump did. And this showed him in command, showed how much he was in charge. Now, the substance is where you and I are going to have a problem with it. But the optics, the setup, getting the Democrats on the record, and I know many of you have already reached out to me in social media saying, what is Donald Trump planning? You're not ready to, and I'm not ready to throw him overboard either. I'm just saying that those of you who know me, where Donald Trump's populism meets my conservatism, I'll support him. If he starts floating ideas of comprehensive immigration reform and all this nonsense, no. I opposed it under Bush. I opposed it under Obama. I'm going to oppose it under Trump, because we don't need an Obamacare bill for the border. We need transparency. We need real security. Illegal immigration must come to an end. And I'm sorry for all you Democrats who pee yourselves over hearing that, but it must. Here's John Roberts.
What we saw today was absolutely extraordinary and something that I have never seen before. Now, the press pool was not in for the entire meeting. I was just talking with Congresswoman Martha McSally, who said that it went on for about a half an hour after the press pool left. But they were there for a full 45 minutes, and what initially had turned into some sort of formal remarks where people knew the camera was on, into a real discussion of the issues at hand. And I think it really changed a lot, too, when Lindsey Graham piped up and said that, we're going to get the crap beaten out of us. directly quoting him for a lot of these things in the Senate, and he knows well that as being part of the Gang of Eight when they tried to do comprehensive immigration reform. But the president was insistent that he wants to get DACA done, wants it to be a bill of love, thinks that there should be bipartisan support. But at the same time as he does DACA, he also wants to get some of his agenda items out there, including the wall, including an end to chain migration and an end to the lottery.
So the good part of this was the president insisting that any deal must have the wall, the end of chain migration, and the end of this stupid lottery system that allows terrorists to come in and run people down in the streets of America. That's got to go away. As a matter of fact, Chuck Schumer, I think it was 2015, Chuck Schumer signed on to getting rid of that lottery system. And never happened. Why? Because, well, we had one of the biggest radicalized Islamic fundamentalist cheerleaders in the White House by the name of Barack Obama. Now, Trump, this is him trying to say, look, I understand you guys are up for election, so I will take the heat for you with whatever you guys come up with. Listen to this.
If we do the right bill here, we are not very far away. You know, we've done most of it. You want to know the truth, Dick? If we do this properly, DACA, you're not so far away from comprehensive immigration reform.
You know what he's saying? If we do DACA, if we get DACA done, then the foundations for DACA can be used as a broader solution for illegal immigrants writ large, illegal immigration reform and immigration reform. You guys know me, I'm not in favor of having illegal immigration and legal immigration addressed in one bill. It doesn't lend itself to transparency. I don't agree with having DACA done, lumped in with all this stuff. But that's what he's saying. If we can do DACA, if we can come together and do DACA, and if Republicans and Democrats come together, you can guarantee that conservatives aren't going to like it. But you guys know what I feel about DACA. I think out of all of the illegal aliens, among those who are violated our laws just to come in and work and send money back to their countries, of the illegal alien felons, the DACA folks, about 800,000 of them, are the most sympathetic. They were brought here so young as kids, they didn't know the difference. They didn't know any better. It wasn't their fault. They didn't make the choice to come here. It was their illegal alien parents who decided to break American law. So of all of the groups, this one has the most sympathy among common sense Americans.
And if you want to take it that further step, I'll take the heat. I don't care. I don't care. I'll take all the heat you want to give me. And I'll take the heat off both the Democrats and the Republicans. My whole life has been heat. I like heat in a certain way.
Okay, so far, so good. You could tell that was a snippet of him being in command, by the way, of that entire meeting. Some have classified it as holding court. It looked to me like he was conducting a board meeting. And he wanted everybody's input. Yeah, you, Schumer. Yeah, you, Feinstein. Yeah, you, Lindsey Graham. He was trying to get as much input and hear what everybody had to say to see where everybody was, trying to navigate his way through a deal. That was all good. And it completely debunked the Wolf Book, completely debunked it for the entire country. 45 minutes of stream of consciousness and the executive of the board, Donald Trump, doing what many of us wanted him to do, which is run this country like a business. Now, Fox News Channel details this moment, and one of our callers, Eric, had called up on this earlier, where Dianne Feinstein, in typical Democrat fashion, tries to pull a fast one. I want a clean DACA bill, meaning just take care of the kids, or who used to be kids, and then we'll get to border security later. That's Dianne Feinstein, People's Republic of California. And you guys know that Dianne Feinstein will have no incentive. Once the DACA children, now young adults, are taken care of, there's no incentive for Democrats to come back to the table to actually secure the border. Remember, the Democrat Party is for rampant, uncontrolled, illegal immigration into the United States of America. They are the anti-rule of law party. Here's Fox News.
Dianne Feinstein posited, well, let's do a clean DACA bill, which means just fix the dreamers, and then we can do things like border security later. The president initially seemed to buy into that, but then when Kevin McCarthy jumped in and said, well, wait a second here, basically saying to the president, she's laying a trap for you. Don't.
I don't know if you guys can hear that. He goes, the president, she's laying a trap for you. Kevin McCarthy basically said, don't buy into what she's saying because I don't think clean means what you think it means, Mr. President. The Democrats' idea of clean is getting everything the Democrat wants and none of what Republicans want. That's Dianne Feinstein's idea of a clean DACA bill.
Fall for it. He said, we have to do DACA and some of these border security issues, and then we can do comprehensive immigration reform. The president clarified it near the end of the meeting when he was asked by ABC correspondent Jonathan Karl whether there could be a DACA agreement without an agreement to build a border wall. Listen to his response here.
Is there any agreement without the wall?
No, there wouldn't be.
The wall has to be there.
You need it. John, you need the wall. I mean, it's wonderful. I'd love not to build the wall, but you need the wall. And I will tell you this, the ICE officers and the Border Patrol agents, I had them just recently up. They say if you don't have the wall, you know, in certain areas, obviously, that aren't protected by nature, if you don't have the wall, you cannot have security. You just can't have it. It doesn't work.
So far, so good, right? He's sticking to his guns on the wall, and he's sticking to those are must-haves as far as the president of the United States is concerned. Wall, end of chain migration, end of the lottery. Okay? So far, so good. Do you guys remember during the campaign, this from a guy that the president of the United States designated as low energy, a man who couldn't even win his own home state, a man who was the establishment's choice to be the next president of the United States, Jeb Bush. Jeb Bush said this of illegal immigration.
The way I look at this is someone who comes to our country because they couldn't come legally, they come to our country because their families, you know, a dad who loved their children was worried that their children didn't have food on the table. And they, you know, wanted to make sure their family was intact. And they crossed the border because they had no other means to work to be able to provide for their family. Yes, they broke the law, but it's not a felony. It's kind of it's an act of love. It's an act of commitment to your family.
We rightly attacked Jeb Bush for basically saying, well, as long as you're doing it for your family, it's okay to commit crimes. It's not a felony, after all. It's okay to break into somebody else's country. As long as you're doing it and you're motivated by your family. And many of you called up this program saying, yeah, you know what? I've got to provide for my family. Thus, I can go break into a bank and steal some money. Right? So Jeb Bush classifying an illegal act, violating the sovereignty of a country as being a quote, act of love, was branded by you, by me, by the president of the United States, our current president, then candidate Donald J. Trump, as low energy. And the president was right. And that has a lot of people scratching their heads by what Donald Trump said yesterday. I'll play that soundbite for you coming up next. Chris Salcedo Show and your calls, 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. Be right back.
To be able to provide for their family, yes, they broke the law, but it's not a felony. It's kind of it's an act of love. It's an act of commitment to your family.
Jeb Bush from the 2016 campaign talking about the act of love that is illegal immigration. You know, robbing that bank, act of love. Boy, that father, that mother really loved their kids. To go in there, bust open a bank, and steal some of the people's money. Yep, act of love right there. I remember we lampooned Jeb Bush for weeks on that. And that earned him a moniker of low energy from the president of the United States. Low energy Jeb. And the president was right. The idea that the United States puts out a law, and it's okay to violate that law so long as you have the proper motivation, that is so antithetical to what it is to be an American. So antithetical to the American experiment, which says, you know, the rule of law is what separates us from the third world dictatorships. It applies to everybody. And we don't bend the law simply because somebody has a sob story. Now, Jeb Bush is perfectly welcome to change the law and say, everybody, you know, and I told you guys about this story yesterday on Facebook. There is some nutcase out in San Diego who is corresponding with me on Ruben Navarrete's page about how the United States of America doesn't have the right to stop people from coming into the United States. There's no constitutional mandate for it. He says it's illegal for America to put restrictions on those people who come into the country. I kid you not. There are people out there who think like this. Globalists, those who are like, terrorism. You know what? If you're concerned about terrorism, you're just a bunch of wimps. This guy actually said it. Americans got to get tougher. You know, allow any Tom, Dick, or Harry from around the globe to come into the United States at will. At will, whenever they want, because America is the only country on the planet that doesn't have the right to restrict entry. This is what these dangerous fools actually think. It's where Jeb Bush's thinking leads. Because you and I both know there's no monitor down there at the border saying, oh, you're a good illegal alien. Oh, you're a bad illegal alien. Or you're a terrorist. There's nobody doing that. There's no, because everybody's coming. It's no holds barred. Everybody comes in. There's no monitor down our border. The Border Patrol is not getting everybody because they don't have the proper tools. The wall is one of those tools. Now, this whole act of love business. Many of us were shocked, saddened, astonished to hear the same low energy comment coming from our current president yesterday.
I feel having the Democrats in with us is absolutely vital because this should be a bipartisan bill. This should be a bill of love. Truly, it should be a bill of love, and we can do that.
Russell?
That's pretty poor.
I heard this yesterday, and now he's talking about DACA. But remember, he's already laid the foundation that DACA is going to be the basis of our immigration reform. A bill of love. I'll play it again.
I feel having the Democrats in with us is absolutely vital because this should be a bipartisan bill. This should be a bill of love. Truly, it should be a bill of love, and we can do that.
Let me play this.
The way I look at this is someone who comes to our country because they couldn't come legally. They come to our country because their families work to be able to provide for their family. Yes, they broke the law, but it's not a felony. It's kind of it's an act of love. It's an act of commitment to your family.
281-558-5738. 281-558-KSEV. Kevin, welcome to the Chris Salcedo Show. Thank you for waiting. What's going on, man?
Hi, Chris. This thing with the judge blocking Donald Trump's DACA rollback.
Yeah.
I don't understand. If Donald Trump is rescinding an illegal executive order by Obama, how can a judge overrule an illegal executive order?
Yeah, and well, not only that, but how can a judge not stop the executive order from Barack Obama, but when the new chief executive rescinds an executive order, which is his right to do, they can stop the rescinding of it? To me, the courts have no ability to weigh in on this, no jurisdiction to weigh in on this, because that's an exclusive. The executive order is an exclusive power of the executive branch. And if it was legal to put it in, it should be legal to take it out.
Yeah, the judge said that it was both capricious and arbitrary.
It's not the judge's call.
It's illegal.
See,
you know,
it's not the judge's call. I'm sorry if you think it's capricious, and he can't call it illegal because it was an executive order. There's no law associated with it. You dummy.
That's what I'm saying. He has no call on this.
It's
something that has to be done through the executive branch, not through the judicial branch.
I understand. I understand exactly what you're saying. The judge is a leftist idiot. The judge is a left-winger, and they're trying to do everything they possibly can to stand up for illegal aliens, to make sure. And folks, don't misunderstand what I'm about ready to say. Our political opposition, they are willing to sacrifice your benefits. I shouldn't say your benefits, issues that benefit you and in order to placate and cater to the illegal alien population. And you know what? The liberal judges, I'll bet you this guy was an Obama or a Clinton appointee. That's all we're seeing, Kev. That's all we're seeing.
Hey, when you played that Jeb Bush clip,
yeah,
I mean, I could feel the love for the New World Order he was portraying. I mean, it was there.
Yeah, could you feel the love? I mean, I could too. It was
hey, great to have you on mornings, man. This is great. I get to listen to you and drink my coffee. I love it.
Well, that's good. That's good. Hopefully, we give you a little jolt. And I've said this before: illegal immigration. The vast majority of your government has betrayed every single one of you on illegal immigration. Every single one of you. 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. Maria Espinoza from the Remembrance Project. Up next, we'll ask her what she thinks about the president's push for love on illegal immigration. Back in a minute.
It's kind of it's an act of love. It's an act of commitment to your family.
Because this should be a bipartisan bill. This should be a bill of love. Truly, it should be a bill of love, and we can do that.
A couple of low-energy guys right there, ladies and gentlemen. Talking about love being the guiding principle behind illegal immigration reform and legal immigration reform. Let's talk about this and many other things with an old friend of the program, Maria Espinoza. She is the co-founder and national director for the Remembrance Project. Now, they advocate for families of victims who have been killed by illegal aliens who shouldn't have been here to begin with, folks. Maria is a first-generation American whose father came to this country legally from Mexico. She was born right here in the great state of Texas. Maria, welcome back. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Chris. Thanks so much for having me on again.
Trump pledges to sign anything that bipartisan group of Republicans and Democrats comes up with, even if he disagrees with it. He says he will sign it. What say you?
I say that we all need to help President Trump keep his campaign promises and his America First agenda, and remind him of his 70-point immigration policy that he put out a few months ago.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Now, I don't want to pretend that Donald Trump wasn't insistent on a couple of things. He was insistent that the wall be built. It has to be part of any deal, or he's out.
He was.
It has to be, chain migration has to go away, meaning, and folks, we haven't done a good job of defining what chain migration is. Chain migration, you get approved, somebody from another country, you get approved, and all of a sudden that is a vehicle for you to bring in your kids, your wife, your second cousin, your mother-in-law, and then they get to, in turn, do that to their next of kin, and it just turns into a massive mess.
It's
and then
endless, right?
Yeah, and then, of course, that stupid, nonsensical, moronic, idiotic lottery system that leads to radicalized Islamic fundamentalist terrorists mowing down American citizens on the streets of America. That he's insistent that those must go away, yes?
Absolutely. You know, I want to see the physical wall first. I want to see unemployment in America go down. You know, I want to see the MS-13 gangs be eliminated before we do any sort of negotiating with illegal aliens. You know, as you know, we're completely against any sort of amnesty, including the DACA recipients. We've done this before, Chris, and we're back into square one. And the best way to solve this DACA problem that Paul Ryan talks about, this DACA problem, is to not give them amnesty. Otherwise, we're encouraging more bad behavior.
Well, and again, this is where I think you're a little more to the right on this, or I shouldn't say to the right, but a little more stalwart on this than I am. The DACA kids, kids, because they're not kids anymore, they're young adults.
Right.
But the DACA folks, about 800,000 of them, when they were brought here, they had no choice in the matter. All right. I mean, if they could have had the good moral character to say, you know what? No, I don't want to violate America's laws by coming in. The choice was made for them by their parents who chose to violate our sovereignty and violate our laws. So with these individuals, if we have the wall, if we end chain migration, if we end all these other things the president says he wants, and I've always said this, if Americans can have the faith restored in our federal government that illegal immigration has come to a stop, then I think they'd be open to normalizing, maybe not citizenship, but just granting them residency, these DACA kids who we've already paid to educate anyway, Marie. I mean, you and I have paid out the nose for government-run education for these 800,000 people.
Oh, absolutely. My daughter's still paying her student loans. You know? So let's take a look at that. These DACA recipients are up to 36 years old, and yes, they arrived through no fault of their own. You know, however, they are adults, and they can get legal. They can leave the country and enter in the right way. So they've had plenty of time to become legal here in the United States and be right by our country and our laws. So, and you know, someone said something about, well, if a parent robbed a bank and he got caught, does the kid get to keep the money? You know.
I understand. I understand. Yeah.
Right.
And we made a similar analogy about Jeb Bush, you know, and the act of love. You know, as long as you're committing a crime for love of your family, I mean, that should be okay then, and which of course is ridiculous.
Right. Well, this DACA situation, we wouldn't be in this situation right now. And now that we have that California judge also trying to stop President Trump's rescinding of DACA, you know, I blame our elected officials. And look, and we have two elected officials right there in Texas, Chris, who sent a letter to Paul Ryan asking for amnesty for these DACA recipients. And that's, I'm going to call them out. It's Will Hurd and also Joe Barton. And
Joe,
you know, we
wait a minute. Joe Barton asked for amnesty
he signed a letter. He is one of we call the Dirty 34.
Wow.
Who signed a letter to Paul Ryan and asking him to do something for these DACA recipients. And you know, and it's a shame. And again, you know, and how do we eliminate these problems that we're in here and costing Americans billions of dollars? And to process DACA recipients, it's going to cost $26 billion. Tell me we can't afford the wall.
Well, for my money, look, if we get the security we want, I've already made, and every American has made the investment of these kids. I don't want to send American educated kids who speak English, who are, for all intents and purposes, Americans. I don't want to send them so that they can go benefit another country. They don't know the country. They don't know their laws. They don't know how to get around because they were children when they were brought here. So they think they're Americans. I mean, here's my bottom line. If our government finally gets serious and ends illegal immigration, the DACA kids are the least of my worries. Am I totally off base on that?
Two things. One is, what about the brain drain that we call from other countries? So we want them just to go back and make their countries more self-sufficient, whatever it is. Take our Constitution type. Well, obviously they don't believe in that because you see them in the streets shaking their fist at us and tromping on our flags. So you know, and so you know that's one thing. But also, you know, when is it going to stop, Chris? When is adult going to stand up and say enough is enough? So we know that our politicians aren't going to do that. You know?
Hey, look, I am every bit as frustrated as you are because we have been lied to. And we have been betrayed on the subject of illegal immigration by our elected leaders, both political parties, for decades, and we're tired of it. Maria Espinoza, co-founder of the National Director of the Remembrance Project, is our guest right now. Let me read you Ann Coulter's response on Twitter yesterday to what she was seeing from the president. By the way, great meeting, and it put to bed this whole idea that Trump was somehow doddering and couldn't put sentences together and wasn't in command. It totally undermined Michael Wolff's Trump dossier part doo-doo. But here's what Ann Coulter said. Nothing Michael Wolff could say about @real Donald Trump has hurt him as much as the DACA love fest right now. Trump, flanked by Dems and open border GOPs, announces plan for 100% open-ended amnesty per the courts. But don't worry, there will be border security. That's a political euphemism for you're not getting the wall.
Right.
What do you think about what Ann said?
Hey, that's Ann. I know her, love her.
So do I.
She tells it what she sees it. Yes, absolutely. But I think that she's right. I mean, we're not. This is a wink, wink, a wall. We're not going to. We know that. Like Feinstein said, she wants a clean bill. I think a clean bill. We need to redefine clean. How about one sentence? Enforce existing laws. Period.
That's pretty clean to me. Last thing. This is off the topic a little bit, but it's another one that has we conservatives who have been applauding Donald Trump's first year. Donald Trump came out yesterday in favor of earmarks, this unaccountable, lazy, bureaucratic nonsense that allows elected leaders to escape culpability for running up the national debt. You have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't like that at all. I think we need some liberty-loving Latinos to sign a letter and send it to him right away.
I like that. Very
I'll
much.
take a look at that. Speaking of two liberty-loving Latinas,
yes,
Dr. Alma Arredondo Lynch is there. I heard she's opposing Will Hurd, by the way.
No kidding.
Yes, so she's for the wall and a very bright young lady. So
what district is that?
That is in Will Hurd, which is just CD 23.
23.
And our America First Latina with our group, Naomi Narvaez is also very conservative and America First agenda young lady too, and she's running for a state rep position. So I just heard about this, so I want to tell you as a liberty-loving Latino, Chris.
Very nice. Thank you very much, Maria. I appreciate the update. Maria Espinoza, everybody. She's the co-founder and national director for the Remembrance Project. They make sure that families, while the government forgets the families who are slaughtered by illegal aliens, the Remembrance Project remembers. Thank you, lady. Appreciate you being here on the Salcedo Show.
Thank you, Chris. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy New Year. And that's going to do it for the Chris Salcedo Show worldwide for this evening on the Vida television network. Weigh in anytime on the program on Twitter at Chris Salcedo TX, and you can leave voicemail or email at chrissalcedo.com. We'll see you next time for the Chris Salcedo Show worldwide here on the Vida television network.